What's up, dudes and dudes? Here, and my name's Scyushi, and we are back in more yet another video interrupting my staycation at home while I raise my boy. Yes, that's right. I'm on like 1 hour of sleep, something like that. It's 1 hour of sleep, but during intervals. Anyways, we've got the Heckbug event. No, it's not the Heckbug event. That was just a prank, a practical joke. We got the St. Qubeslick event. That was actually an old reference to a very old joke that you guys might remember. It's my birthday. You guys remember all of that stuff? My birthday's already long gone now. But anyways, the event itself has a few new items that you can end up obtaining. But generally speaking, it's kind of an annoying event just because it allows you to just grind dungeons for most of the items. But the problem is it wants you to grind a lot of dungeons. And it's kind of random chance if you end up getting the items out of it that you need. So anyways, the start of the event, let's get right into it. So there's going to end up being meeting up with St. Qubeslick in the hub. So that's going to end up being this guy. You interact with him, bada bing, bada boom. That has completed that part of the quest, and it gives you a lucky star. At which point the game wants you to buy lucky stars from him, only a couple of them, and that'll end up completing the event, which gives you another lucky star. Then you have to throw a lucky star, and what these actually do is it creates a burst of luck when thrown, increasing the hue and magic find of the person that's thrown it. Basically, it makes it so that there's luck beasts that you can see for 5 minutes or until you switch the world. So you basically have to keep regularly using this on top of just grinding the event. But anyway, after you've thrown the luck star, guess what you get? Another lucky star. Then you have to defeat a luck beast. Now, the interesting part about this event is that the luck beasts normally would just be roaming around in all of these different biomes, but now they're actually located in dungeons, which I like a lot more because it's more consistent. So they're going to end up being in Desert Frontier, Neon City, and Luminopolis, or Jurassic Jungle. And I won't get into too much detail about this until a little bit later, but suffice to say that each of these different biomes is going to end up having different creatures at the dungeons. So if we just end up going into one of these dungeons, we're going to see this Quetzal thing, and that was basically one of the luck beasts as far as I know anyways. So you just complete that part of the quest and then you get a lucky star once again. Then it wants you to collect Sir O'Lucky coins, which is basically the event coin that you get from defeating one of these bosses. There's an additional chest that will spawn, and that chest will end up giving you those coins. As far as I know, it doesn't matter the higher Uber world, you don't get more coins for being in a higher difficulty, so you can kind of just pick whatever biome you want. Anyways, you gotta collect 15 tokens and then you get another lucky star. Then it wants you to defeat a Flux beast, which is different than the luck ones that we've been fighting thus far. Usually, there'll be the 3-star dungeon boss, as you can see, and he's just made out of Flux instead of made out of luck. Yeah, let's go with that. Anyways, defeat one, you get another lucky star, who cares? And then craft something at a pot of gold. So by completing a 3-star dungeon, you get this pot of gold right here. A bunch of different items that you can end up crafting for the day. Yeah, it's actually like a 24-hour, on daily reset anyways, before you can craft more of these, which is cool. And then, you know, there's a couple different other little items here that you could go for, but I don't really care about any of those. And then you'll end up gaining Luck Beast haunch. Now, the interesting thing is that the haunch isn't really explained in this event at all. To my understanding, in the old event, you had to use the haunch to like attack creatures or something. I really don't know if it actually does anything anymore. But anyway, the next part is to bait an Lucky stone. So this is going to end up being an item that you can find while exploring that is in Desert Frontier, Neon City, Luminopolis, and Jurassic Jungle. Let me see if I can end up finding one of these suckers. Just my luck, there's one right here. Thank God there are mods on PC, because otherwise you basically would just have to find this random little rock. And then I think either all you do is interact with it, or you have to craft this feast item, and then that completes the part of the event and gives you 10 Sir O'Lucky tokens. Oh, okay. And then it wants you to collect some luck snakes. So if I'm not mistaken, by crafting one of these feast items, it ends up, it starts spawning a bunch of these snakes around this thing. And then we can end up killing a whole bunch of them. They just keep kind of spawning over and over again until eventually they just kind of stop. There's quite a few items that you get out of them, so it might end up being worthwhile just for like farming purposes. But then you end up using a lucky coin or a lucky star or whatever on the snakes, and then it bags those snakes, which is then used as a donation item, which we'll get into. You have to collect 5 of the snakes to get 10 more lucky tokens, and then it wants you to send luck snakes to the mini pot of gold. So if we end up going back into the hub, there's going to end up being the mini pot of gold right over here. And then you can end up sending the luck snakes by, it basically is donating them, which can end up exchanging for some various items that are related to the event, which we'll get into. By donating these snakes, you end up gaining a fragment of luck. And then the last part of the event is to find Sir O'Lucky. Now, this is where things can end up becoming really annoying if you haven't taken part of any of the previous year events, because this dude is going to end up showing up at a 3 Trovian thing. Back in my day, they used to be like Trove shrines or something. I don't know. I still remember to this day the first time that I came across one of the shrines and it said, gather 3 Trovians. And I didn't know what that meant because the game never explained that it refers to players as Trovians. But now they call it the Unity Shrine, and I just gotta try and find one, which is usually quite problematic for me. There's one. Oh my god. So they're this yellow standing dude on the map, and when we end up going over to these, there's gonna be this NPC, right? He's going to end up having various items in his shop, and the interesting thing is that, as far as I know, he's got like 8 different pages of shops, but the shop that generates is dependent on the Unity Shrine. So basically this shop right here is going to sell all these items. And if I wanted to see his other resources that he would sell, his other items, his other mounts, whatever, I would have to just go and find another Unity Shrine like the one that's right over here. My point is it can end up being quite annoying slowly tracking down all of the different items that this guy sells instead of just, you know, him just having like pages worth of them like he did in previous events, if I recall. But anyway, he's going to end up requiring a fragment of luck, which we'll talk about momentarily. After you end up finding him, you'll end up completing the event and getting the Shy Sunlightosaur, which is going to end up being, is it this little ally actually? Yeah, so this needs more sunlight bulbs to grow. I mean, he's cute. Like, look at him. He's so small and just adorable and stupid at the same time. It's just, I like him. So moving back into the hub, what you're going to do from this point on with the event is basically get your hands on the Sir O'Lucky coins, which you get from completing dungeons, and the Luck Beast haunches, which you also get from dungeons or get from bosses or something like that. Basically, even though they have this whole like bagged snake thing, it's more efficient to just do dungeons because then you don't have to constantly craft the items to capture the snakes, in which case you can just keep grinding dungeons and you'll just naturally get both of these items for donation. Every time you end up donating these items, you have a chance of getting some of those precious fragments of luck. And the 2 main new items out of this event are going to end up being this mount, which I'll show you guys in a second, and then this ally, which I couldn't be bothered to actually get it in time because for whatever reason, the ally costs so much more than the mount does to craft, which I don't understand. But this gives a chance to harvest additional sunlight bulbs. So that could be useful for an early game player, but for somebody like me, I don't care. But this is going to end up being the mount. It's a bigger version of the tiny little baby ally. It is as adorable as it is horrifying. I also ended up getting this hat, I think, this helmet style, as a random item for donations, something like that. So now we get into the meat of it. This is what you would end up continually grinding on top of the tokens. Namely, the 3 primary different biomes will end up having different creatures for each of the biomes respectively. So the Quetzal is in the desert. Luminopolis, I think, has the Triceratops, and then the T-Rex would be in the Jurassic jungle, if I recall correctly. And the interesting thing is that When you end up killing these creatures, there's a lot of items that you can end up farming out of them. So if this is your first time getting into one of these events, it can kind of suck just because there's going to be a super amount of items that you're going to have to grind out of it. Essentially, each of the different creatures, let me see if I can end up finding one before everybody just kills everything with all of these bots that are around me. Let's just go to this neon city. So here's the Triceratops beast, right? Basically, this guy right here is going to have a mount and an ally that basically looks like him. But there's also going to end up being the Flux version of this boss that will also drop a Flux ally or mount, respectively. And so you can do that for each of the different creatures that you find in all of the different biomes. So it's not necessarily something that I would say, oh, you should really go out of your way to try and get every single one of them. Just go for the one that you think is cool. Basically just farm dungeons within that biome. It's definitely worth farming some of those if you actually want to try and make some Flux, because those allies in particular are worth a lot of Flux to mastery farmers. But let's not forget that there's also going to end up being these craftables as well as some legacy treasures. So just because these cost so many fragments of luck, I never bothered with them. Like, this is an ally, this is an ally, this is a mount. I mean, at least the price makes a bit more sense with these, but like compared to the more modern ones. But I'm just saying that there's a lot of items that I haven't gotten in the previous years because the event itself is kind of just grinding one specific biome over and over again. And not one of my favorite biomes, because I mean, I'm always used to just grinding things. But anyways, that's gonna do it for me. Thanks for watching. Smash like, sub for more, buy the merch you want, support the channel, as well as put my child through college in the future years of his life. But yeah, I genuinely appreciate you watching, and I hope that this video was helpful.